Look, for President Trump, every day is Flag Day. The bigger the American flag, the taller the flagpole, the better.
I've always said, why doesn't it have a flagpole? This is about the largest you'll ever see. That'll be very nice, very patriotic.
But this type of unapologetic, unbridled patriotism drives today's Democrats to the brink. The perpetually whiny publication known as the Daily Beast called the flagpoles a monstrous and tacky change. More on that later. Of course, there are flags that the left pledges allegiance to, like this one and this one. Desecrate either at your own peril. Yet Trump's broad coalition rejects this and favors his America First approach. He wasn't and isn't like all of his Republican predecessors, thank goodness. Both on economic and foreign policy, he's bold, but he's realistic. And he's been consistent on Iran not having nukes.
Is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust? This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. If you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time, and I mean it more now.
And right now, we're all holding our breath, wondering whether America will strike Iran with a bunker buster and what will come next. What does a wider war look like? After all, when you start a military engagement, you don't necessarily know what's going to come up or how it's going to end. Are our military bases vulnerable? And what are the risks of doing nothing? Could be big. Then some of you wonder if Trump is getting talked into this by the same voices that have misled us before. Politico is reporting that one pro-intervention general has a lot of influence at the Pentagon. U.S. CENTCOM Chief General Eric Kurilla, and how others are more skeptical of our getting involved and that those voices are getting edged out. And notwithstanding the fight on the right, the angle believes we need to stay grounded in the America First principles. What are they? Well, number one, we cannot succeed in war, any war, unless our people are on board. Remember, we didn't lose in Iraq and Afghanistan because the soldiers were beaten in battle. We lost because Americans at home saw no path to victory. We got Obama. And right now, Trump knows there is very strong popular support for a narrow objective.
Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that. They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. 83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats. When you get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything, you know that that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public is with Donald Trump.
But Americans will not support any war that appears to be endless. There must be a clear goal, and the war must end once that goal is achieved. I was remembering back today, I was flying back from England today, and I remember back in 2016 at the RNC, I was there, then candidate Trump laid waste to his predecessors who got it all wrong.
After 15 years of wars in the Middle East, after trillions of dollars spent and thousands of lives lost, the situation is worse than it has ever been before. We must abandon the failed policy of nation building and regime change. We must work with all of our allies who share our goal of destroying ISIS and stamping out Islamic terrorism. This includes working with our greatest ally in the region, the State of Israel.
Well, he was right then, and can't imagine he feels any differently now. He's still putting out an olive branch to Iran, even tonight. Every president that has overseen a war without a clear victory, going back to President Truman in Korea, has paid a major political cost. That is just the truth. Third, Americans are not going to support a war that hurts the economy. Again, Trump has always known this.
We have spent
more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle East. As a candidate for president, I loudly pledged a new approach. Great nations do not fight endless wars.
I love how Nancy Pelosi wasn't clapping. Well, that sort of came along. Look, we're already in a major financial hole now because of the trillions we lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thus, any action in Iran must not do serious damage to the federal budget, provoke inflation, or drive up interest rates. That all would be a nightmare for Trump and for the country. Number 4, Americans are not going to support a war that weakens our position in the rest of the world. So if a military action in the Middle East means that we are effectively ceding more of Asia to the CCP, that war will not be seen as a success. Thus, any military action should meet the following criteria. You got to have a clear goal. That goal must be militarily achievable without damage to the U.S. economy. That goal must be consistent with our overall policies, including our ability to stand up to the CCP. That goal must be clearly articulated to the American people. Now, when that goal is achieved, the war must end. The end of the war must also be clearly articulated to the American people. None of the vague, mission accomplished nonsense that leads to 15 more years of fighting. So when the war is over, the troops and the weapons come home, and we celebrate, period. So if we have a plan that can meet those criteria, we can succeed. Any plan that does not meet these criteria will fail, no matter how much we want it to work. Hoping and praying and wanting are not the same as winning. Good intentions are not the same as good outcomes. So if you take America into war, into military conflict, then she better win. And if she doesn't, the fact that you tried hard or had good intentions will not save you or your party politically. So God bless President Trump, and God bless our troops tonight. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.